Everyone in here, going live on there. Okay, we are live. You all are in here. Perfect. For everyone in the Zoom room, feel free to ask your questions in the chat. And let me just make sure we're live over here. We are. So proud of myself. I'm finally getting this whole situation. Okay, I can see that. I can see you all. Here we are, day 10. Okay. So yesterday we started this concept that, actually, let me just turn myself up. I have my heater on in my room today because I'm cold, so I just want to make sure you can hear me. Yesterday we started this concept of focusing on how we want to feel. So last week we were focusing on asking ourselves ahead of the event, right? Is it worth it? And that's a great tool. We want to continue to build on that. This week is to catch it on the other side as well. Now, I shouldn't say that because you can use this tool anytime. You can use this ahead of an event, during an event, after an event, but we're trying to kind of sandwich this whole act of eating and choosing food, right? And you've got the before, you've got the during, and you've got the after. And so this one is a tool to help you with the uncomfortable after. So in the challenge worksheet that I posted it this morning. Hold on, let me let more people in the room. I posted it this morning. In the challenge worksheet, I gave you a set of questions just to start thinking about for when you're feeling uncomfortable. So after you have, and this, of course, applies to any part of your life, but we're talking about food here. So let's just make the example of you've gone out to dinner and you overate or you ate in a way that you didn't intend to, and now you're feeling uncomfortable. So these are the uncomfortable feelings that you're sitting with. And a line of questioning that will help you break the cycle, get out of the habit of what we have memorized for so long. So let me back up and just say, a lot of your reactions to the choices you make, how you eat, how you move, whether or not you're working out, whatever it is, a lot of those reactions, if not all of those reactions, are memorized emotions based on what you've done in the past over and over and over and over again. So for example, you go out to eat, you intend to not, order the chips and salsa. I'm going to pass on the dessert and I'm not going to drink, right? Those are my intentions. But then I go and someone else orders chips and salsa and I'm eating them. And I have 3 margaritas with my friends and I split the dessert. And I go home feeling frustrated and feeling negative about what just happened. Now you have a pattern of memorized behaviors, memorized thoughts, memorized emotions, memorized feelings, and then behaviors that coincide with that feeling of disappointment, right? And so what we do historically is say, well, I acted this way, so now I'm going to put more restriction in place for next time. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do this. This weekend, I'm going to do this, right? And we go into this restriction mode and we hold on real tightly because we don't want to feel bad. And that is just a pattern of memorized emotions, memorized behaviors that we do. So this week's challenge is to get you out of that cycle of memorized emotion. And part of how we do that is to ask myself, well, how do I want to feel? The facts remain the same, right? I had the margaritas, I had the dessert, I had the chips and salsa. Those are the facts. We cannot go and change the facts of what just happened, but we can absolutely change how we relate to it. So what I'm asking you to do is now you have this feeling of discomfort, this feeling of frustration. I wish I hadn't done that, okay? And this line of questioning is designed to say, okay, how would I like to feel after that just happened? How would I like to feel after that just happened? And we start to get curious. Would I like to feel it's okay? My body knows what to do with this food and can move on tomorrow. Would I like to feel I still accept myself exactly as I am, as I'm learning how to make better decisions. Would I like to feel at peace with my decisions? Would I like to feel at peace with my body, even if I make a decision that I don't like, right? How would I like to feel? Now, I'm not asking you to have that feeling be true, right? So some of you might say, but I don't feel that way. I'm really frustrated with myself. I'm going to make the argument that part of the reason that you're really frustrated with yourself is because you've memorized how to be frustrated with yourself after you've been disappointed. That is your memorized set of behaviors and emotions. You know how to do that. You know how to be down on yourself, be frustrated with yourself, put yourself down after you did that, degrade yourself all weekend long, have the what the heck response, continue that behavior all weekend long until you start over again on Monday. You know how to do that. That is your memorized pattern of emotion and behavior. I'm asking you to break that pattern by being curious about something else. How would I like to feel here instead? Now let's take this away from food and dieting for a second, because this place can be so vulnerable for people. Let's think about you as a parent. And you yelled at your kid last night, right? And you feel you were, I don't know, stressed at work. And so then you had a fight and you yelled at your kid. And that night you're feeling frustrated with yourself. Man, I wish I wouldn't have done that, right? Usually you wouldn't degrade yourself. You wouldn't continue down this path of, I can't believe I did that. Why am I such a bad mom? How am I so horrible? I mean, if you're doing that, this will help with this too. But oftentimes we're able to, with something that's quite a bit less vulnerable, say, you know what? I yelled at my child. Tomorrow I have the opportunity to apologize and make this better. In other words, you're better at focusing on how you want to feel with your child going forward. You don't know that you're doing it, but you do have this memorized pathway of, I want to feel better. I want to repair this, right? And so you go to, how would I like to feel? Well, what would I do to make myself feel better? Oh, I would apologize to my child, right? So then you spend the night going, okay, great, I'm going to apologize. The next morning you wake up, I'm really sorry that I yelled at you last night. I know we had a hard time, and things get repaired. Because you, in that moment, you went to, how do I want to feel? How can I repair this? You didn't get stuck in, ideally, you didn't get stuck in, I'm such a bad mom. I always do everything wrong. Why do I always mess this up? Why do I always, that stuckness keeps you swimming in that washing machine. Instead, you automatically went to, how am I going to repair this and make this better? We don't do that with food, do we? We stay in the stuck spiral washing machine. Now, part of that reason is because we've been taught that if we want to make changes with our body, we have to hold on really tightly. There's what I call this paradox of restriction and deprivation, right? So the paradox lies in this analogy. So if you were trying to hold water in your hands, you're trying to hold water in your hands, what works better? To squeeze it really tightly to hold on to it, right? Squeeze, hold on to the water in your hands. Or does it work better to let go and hold space for it? Same thing happens with your decisions with food and your body. We think the more we squeeze, the tighter we hold on, the more we control, the more we squeeze, the more we control, that the better the outcome will be. The paradox is, the more we squeeze and the more we control, the less water we hold in our hands. So the way that we work best with food and body and weight is to let go and hold space. And if you can think about it that way, if you can think about how much more water you will hold in your hands if you let go and hold space versus squeeze and hold on tightly, that is the exact paradox we're working with. And so the tools that I'm giving you last week, is it worth it? And this week, how do I want to feel? Is all about letting go. So let's go back to the example I gave you of overeating at the restaurant, chips, margaritas, dessert, whatever. That happened, it's done. Our instinct is to hold on tighter and control. Well, then tomorrow I'm going to eat less. And then the next day I'm not going to eat anything. And then the next time I go out, I can only have chicken and a salad and no dressing, right? The way that we want to compensate for that negative emotion is to hold on and control even further. What I'm offering you is the path to letting go and holding space. So practicing the emotion of, okay, these facts just happened. The facts are I ate the chips and the margaritas and the dessert. How do I want to feel? How do I want to hold space for myself? Does it feel better to go, now you can't have anything for dessert today? Or does it feel better to say, it's okay. My body knows how to metabolize food. It's okay because I can make a different decision today. Or beating myself up over this doesn't actually make me feel better, whatever it is. Notice that one is in restriction and deprivation, and the other one is in release and holding space, right? And so my argument this week, and the thing that I want you to try and practice this week, is practice disrupting that memorized emotion, that memorized pattern of thinking that says, I was bad, therefore I'm going to punish myself. And replace that negative pattern with neutrality, acceptance, space, holding space for yourself. How would you like to feel? In other words, if your kid came home and said, I don't know, Mom, I failed my math test. You wouldn't go to that kid, you didn't study hard enough, you didn't do these things, you wouldn't throw fuel on the fire. What would you say? You would say, oh, buddy, I'm sorry to hear that. Let's talk about A, how you're doing, B, let you know that it's okay. It's okay to have challenges in school. Let's talk about the things that we might be able to do to support you. I mean, listen to the way that you might talk to your child and support them through failing a test, right? You wouldn't add fuel to that fire by degrading them and putting them down. What will that do? It makes your child feel worse and go inward. But yet we do it every day to ourselves with the choices we make around food. We degrade ourselves, we put ourselves down, we make judgment calls against ourselves, we make it worse, we make ourselves recoil and go inward. We hold on so tightly and restrict and restrict and restrict. We don't hold space for that loving emotion, loving vibration. We don't even believe that it's possible to have better feeling emotions. We think the only possible solution is to put ourselves down and degrade ourselves. So this week is all about holding space for yourself, about letting go to see if you can hold more acceptance, more love, more positive feeling emotions instead of holding on so tightly and restricting, okay? Questions about that? I'm actually just looking here to make sure those of you that are following along don't have questions in the, okay. Questions on the Zoom. Anybody have thoughts? Any place that you want me to elaborate on with that? So in the challenge document, your job is just to notice when you're so focused on how I don't want to feel, right? I don't want to feel bad. I don't want to feel big. I don't want to feel uncomfortable. I don't want to feel mad at myself. I don't want to. What do you want to feel? I want to feel peace. I want to feel joy. I want to feel ease. I want to feel comfortable. I want to feel confident. Okay, so we start shifting that and saying, what do you want to feel? And then the very last piece of that challenge worksheet is, what small thing, no matter how tiny, are you willing to do to move towards how you do want to feel? Notice how I didn't say, what action are you going to take to not do that again? I said, let's get clear about how you do want to feel, and then what small thing can you do to take you closer to how you want to feel? Okay, so you've finished the restaurant, you're mad at yourself, I don't want to feel that. What do I want to feel? I want to feel ease, I want to feel peace, I want to feel joy, okay? So what small thing can I do to take me closer to that feeling? Not what rules can I put into place now, but what small thing can I do to take me closer to that feeling? Forgiveness, gratitude, love, acceptance, neutrality, whatever it is. I hope that makes sense. If you guys have questions about this after you watch this video, leave your questions in the comments or post them in the group, and I will be happy to address them as we go throughout the week. But keep posting your wins on this, how this is going for you. And like I said yesterday, this is all ahead of next week's challenge, which is a sugar detox, which I'll tell you more about. Okay, everyone, I think we're good. No comments, no comments. I'll see you tomorrow.